All right.
Do
All
it.
right. The time has come. I'm putting Reggie on the hot seat with What Does It Mean? Covering all the latest hot topics in Minnesota sports. First up, longtime NFL journeyman and QB Ryan Fitzpatrick decides to hang it up and retire after 17 seasons, suiting up for 9 different teams. In those 17 seasons, Fitzpatrick started 147 games, thrown for 34,990 yards, 223 touchdowns. He started games for all 9 teams, which is an NFL record among quarterbacks. Fitzpatrick, however, never made the playoffs during his career. So, what does it mean for Fitzpatrick's legacy and place among some of the all-time best NFL journeymen and backup quarterbacks?
Man, Fitzmagic forever.
He was fun, wasn't he?
I love the guy, man. Like, he was great.
The
And
Harvard
look,
boy.
yeah, just gritty, tough. Whenever you needed to, have him be a spell for your QB1, he came in there and just won games. Like, won games with every team that he has been on. That team he played on with the Jets that Todd Bowles was coaching, where he had Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall, that was probably one of the most talented teams that we've seen not make the playoffs. And so it's tough to see that he didn't make the playoffs because at some point or another, it seems like he runs out of gas. But the dude is like nails and so fun to watch. Fitzmagic, he got that nickname for a reason. And I'll give you this story. So I grew up a St. Louis Rams fan. And one year, there was a game where Mark Bulger was out, and the Rams were just kind of like sputtering. They were 4-6. They went to go play the 1-9 Texans, and the Texans jumped out to a 21-point lead. Okay, and you got guys like Isaac Bruce, Torrey Holt. Back in the day, it was Kevin Curtis, and a young Harvard quarterback by the name of Ryan Fitzpatrick leads the team on a 21-point comeback, just throwing dimes all over the field, goes to overtime, throws one to Kevin Curtis. Kevin Curtis breaks the tackle, runs into the end zone, walks it off, and the Rams win.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh my goodness. That was one of the funnest memories of my childhood. And I am now 31 years old, and I'm saying that was one of the most fun memories of my childhood. And what that says is Fitzpatrick, his longevity was very evident in the National Football League. Very, very, last season, the Washington football team decided that they were just going to hitch their wagon to Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Why not? He gives you a chance to win every week. Why not?
Exactly. And you're just like, really? That's your game plan? But like, I think it shows just how much Fitzpatrick has been productive and a consummate professional throughout his career, that even up until last season, teams, and he had the unfortunate injury that, kind of pushed him aside and led to Taylor Heineke getting a bunch of snaps. But, he was going into that season to be the starting quarterback for that team. And he's been through a lot. I was looking at some of the highlights from him, and, he would scramble a lot. And he took a lot of hits as well in some of those scrambles. Like, he was a tough guy as well. And he said he secretly loved when announcers always talked about the fact that he went to Harvard whenever they, started talking about who he was and who he is as a quarterback. Yeah. He said he secretly loved that because you never really see a whole lot of Ivy League players really make it, especially to the level that he has on, over the course of his career. And so the legend of Fitzmagic, we all love him. He's not going to be like a Hall of Famer or anything like that, but he's going to be a quarterback that years down the line, you're just like, oh man, remember Ryan Fitzpatrick? That guy was a lot of fun to watch.
One of those guys that just makes the NFL fun to watch, the 250th overall pick. I think you're talking about November 29th, 2005, that 33-27 comeback against the Houston Texans.
It was awesome.
Product of Mike Martz's system, Torrey Holt,
Yep.
Isaac Bruce. Man, we're getting deep into Reggie's childhood right now, and I love it. Yeah, super fun to watch, though, man. I mean, that was just – it's just one of those guys that every week, every year, you're like, all right, this is probably it. The show's over. The magic is gone. There's no way he can cling on to another team. There's no way he can win the number 2 job. There's no way when that guy goes down, he's going to get not only a chance to start, but actually produce. 17 years later, here we are. One of the funner journeyman stories for sure in the NFL. Going to be sad to see him go, but heck of a run, man. Ryan Fitzpatrick, a.k.a. Fitzmagic for a reason. All right, last one. Finally, some sad news here to end. Former Dallas Cowboys and Minnesota Golden Gopher great Marion Barber died suddenly at the age of 38 this week. We're obviously heartbroken and just shocked by the news that was released by the Cowboys Wednesday. I'd like to take a moment and maybe just reflect on some of the amazing things Barber was able to bring to the game of football, specifically here in the state of Minnesota, as he will forever go down as one of the best, not just running backs, not just players, but people in Gopher history. What does it mean when looking back on Barber's legacy here as kind of one of those local legends?
So I'm a relative newcomer here. We all know this.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it's been really cool for me to kind of see just the legend that is Marion Barber here in Minnesota. And so the night that we found out that he passed, Randy Shaver went over and talked to his college head coach and his high school head coach. And Randy's recall for Twin Cities sports moments is unreal. And he put together this story talking about just the life and legacy of Marion Barber. And I just really didn't know how much of a dude he was. Randy has been covering sports in this area for nearly 40 years. He said he can count on both of his hands the players that really, really stood out to him. And he put Marion Barber in that list. Second generation Gopher, second generation NFL running back. And oh yeah, like the dude was a stud in high school. Like I had no idea he played cornerback in high school. Randy had this video. So every week, Randy Shaver, during the high school football season, he comes in around 11 a.m. and he does the high school football show every Friday night. And he doesn't leave until 2:30 in the morning or later, because he is logging that video from all the games. And it came in handy in this moment because he was able to recall the only 2 interceptions that Joe Mauer threw in his whole Cretan high school career. Marion Barber
kidding me.
Was the guy who intercepted those 2 passes. Wow. And they were both incredible interceptions. And I'm just like, wow, like for as incredible as Marion Barber was, I think it was something like 1,900 yards or something like that he ran for. But he also was a lockdown cornerback in high school as well. Just speaks to the type of athlete and the type of talent that he was. And then you go and you look at, I'm not even from Minnesota, but I used to tune in every week to see him and Lawrence Maroney, the 2-headed duo, because Lawrence Maroney is from St. Louis.
Right.
And so we would tune in to see him and Lawrence Maroney do work. Both of those guys, first-round draft picks in the NFL. Both those guys were must-see TV as a running back duo, probably one of the best running back duos in all of college football. And then Marion Barber gets into the league and had a very productive career. He was RB1 for them, for the Cowboys. Signed like a 7-year, $45 million contract with the Cowboys as their running back 1. And, looking back at some of those highlights, man, the guy was a bruiser, hard-nosed, ran hard, like one of those guys that you didn't want to see coming in a gap because he was about to punish you. A lot of people talk about the greatest run that he ever had was when they were backed up, on their own goal, and it looked like he was about to get tackled for a safety, and somehow he turns it into a 2-yard gain when it
It's
seemed
one of
like
the
he
top
ran like 50
100.
yards.
Yeah, it's one of the top 100 all-time plays in the NFL ever. If you've never seen it, you got to go check it out. Yeah,
To
unbelievable.
only gain 2 yards out of the play. It's just
Yeah.
kind of crazy. But he dodged disaster so much. But just, catching passes out of the backfield, lining up and just running it as a running back. Like, this dude was special, man. And I know it's tough, from his playing career. He seemed to kind of struggle with some things, and that's just kind of tough just to see, his playing career really kind of hold a bearing on his post-playing career. And it's just so tough to see how things just kind of ended up in, him being found dead in his apartment the other day. Mm-hmm. It's so tough to see how it ended up just 9 days short of his 39th birthday. So young, man. Mm-hmm. So young, but so many people having so many great things to say about him in his passing. That's a type of legacy that he left.
When he was in his prime for the Gophers, it was always Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin dominated the Big Ten. Gophers second fiddle, just trying to keep up. But once in a decade, a special magical player came around like Marion Barber and literally just carried that team. I mean, at the time, he broke the Gophers football career record, all-time record holder for rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, 100-yard games. They go 10-3 one season, and it just brought so much excitement and life into not just the Gophers football program, but the state, the entire state of Minnesota. For the first time, we're competing with these big teams like Wisconsin, Michigan, and Ohio State. And that's just on the field, like you said. So cool to hear those stories about him and another local legend like Joe Mauer going toe-to-toe. You gave me goosebumps. That was outstanding to hear. But such a obviously sad story, sad ending to what was just an unbelievable, heartfelt life. Our hearts and condolences, thoughts and wishes go out to his friends and family for sure.
Absolutely.